Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us again for another rendition of the B&H Virtual Event Space. Today, we are very happy to present to you Perfecting the Portrait with Posing and Lighting, sponsored in part by Lexar. We've got here with us Roberto Valenzuela and Joey Lopez from Lexar. I'm going to hand it over to Joey. Joey, the floor is yours. Thanks for joining us today.
Awesome. Thanks, Scott. And thank you to B&H for having us. We're really excited to be here, and we're also really excited to have Roberto Valenzuela. Roberto is one of our Lexar elite photographers, and we've had the pleasure of working with Roberto for 5+ years now. So it's been really exciting to see his work blossom, and most recently seeing most of his latest work come to life. And today we have a bunch of great educational content planned. He's going to dive into some of his personal favorite tips and techniques on posing and lighting. But without further ado, I'll let him jump right in.
All right.
Roberto.
Thank you, Joey. Thank you, Scott. Thank you to B&H Space. Thank you for putting all this together. And of course, definitely thank you to everybody who's spending a quick 45 minutes to an hour with us in this time during this COVID craziness. Nobody wants to do these Zooms, but at least we're trying to provide something for you guys education-wise and get you guys a little entertained, and maybe it tickles you to go do something different or something like that. So this presentation is kind of fun for me because I have such a big relationship with the subjects of posing and lighting, since I've written books on those two topics. And when I was thinking about this presentation, I was actually thinking, like, what do I really want to say that's really going to be like the point of this entire presentation? And what I want to say is pay attention to details. Like, I remember when I started as a photographer, even when I was pretty like in the middle of my career, I remember I would start shooting my jobs, my paid jobs. And I don't know, the people listening, just try to imagine this on your own. But you know that when you start shooting, you kind of forget a lot of your training. Like there's like a different mindset when you're like on your own versus when you're actually on the job. Something happens to your head or to your thinking or whatever, your thought process, that it almost kind of walks away and goes to the park and has a margarita. Like, you don't know what's going on. And from getting, more experienced as a photographer, that brain leaving and getting a margarita in the island of Hawaii started coming back to work. And the way I did that was by paying close attention to details. So I focused not on the model or the subject, just letting them move however they want, and then me just trying to capture it. I asked myself, like, if I'm the photographer that was chosen to shoot this job, and I'm being given the responsibility to produce like a commercially professional commercial job for a company or for whatever, then what do I bring to the table? And what I bring to the table is paying close attention to detail when it comes to the decisions you make as a photographer. Otherwise, we're just button pushers, okay? That's the difference. We're just button pushers. So I started thinking about that. Let me show you my presentation a little bit. I'm gonna start showing you, but I want you to remember that based on everything I wanna say, it's based on changing my mentality to paying attention to details. Simplicity makes a big difference in photography. Like really paying attention to the simple things and doing those things really well will never fail you, okay? And if you're doing this for fun, you will be a lot more happy with a lot higher yield of better photographs. Okay, if you guys don't mind, I have only like 15 followers on my Instagram account, so please give me some love. I'm totally kidding. But yes, please give me the love on my Instagram account. I actually post quite a bit of behind the scenes in my Instagram stories or when I'm doing shoots. So if you guys want to see this happening, follow this Instagram account, Roberto_photo, and there, whatever projects I do with Lexar or anybody, we put them on my Instagram stories and you guys can enjoy them. Okay. But here's what it is. It is attention to detail. So let me explain what that actually means. That sounds kind of vague. So let me just explain. Check out this awful location. Okay, this location doesn't look like it would be it would yield an amazing portrait, right? But now let's actually pay attention to what's happening. So you have the light coming from above. And when the light's coming from above and she's sitting on the stairs, what do you see or what do you think? Well, her face is going to be lit by the light coming from above. This is an abandoned building in the city of Rijeka in the country of Croatia. And I just shot this 2 weeks ago. She's actually an amazing photographer, this girl. And I wanted to do a shoot with her because I'm working with her on some projects. So if you look at the hand and you can see my hand pointing at her hand, it's because look how bright the hand is because of the light hitting that hand. The jacket is black, the pants are black. The only thing that's not black is her hand. So that's the attention to detail that I want you guys to think about. Now, if the light's coming from above, the chin has to come up to receive that light. And I sure as heck don't want the hand to show in the frame because it will be competing with the face. So I'm going to play this video and I want you guys to look how much attention to detail in the posing and the lighting I'm putting in to create this portrait. Check it out. There's no audio, so just look at all the hand positions going on, trying to get the hand and get rid of it. So it's black pants with black shirt, okay? Black jacket with black pants. I don't want anything distracting there. And then this is the actual portrait that came out of this one. So you can see, even though the location looks crazy and it doesn't look that attractive, look at the way the light from above, like the skylight, illuminates her face by putting the chin up. And then look at the jacket, it's actually illuminated by this LED light. So if you look at it carefully, there is an LED light coming in and on the left. So once this happens, okay, you guys see on the top left of your screen, that LED light is not there for her face. That's there for the jacket. That jacket needs to be illuminated to not basically blend with the background, and then you get an image like this. So can you guys imagine this photograph without the LED light hitting the jacket? It just would not, it would ruin it. She would look like a ghost. And I know that photographers sometimes think like, how do you think about that when you're shooting? And you think about that by not freaking out. I always tell photographers, it's just a photo shoot. Think before you shoot. Look around the frame and ask yourself, where's the light coming from? What's going to be important in this picture? Her jacket and her face. So her face is lit by the light from above. The jacket has to be lit by something. So that jacket gets lit by an LED light. The hand cannot be incorporated in this picture because it will compete with the face. So the hand is out. And that's the end of it. And then that's the portrait that you get out of it. Okay. So that's the way I kind of move. All of these photos, a lot of these photos that I want to show you are shot with my amazing trusty Lexar memory cards. These are the CF Expresses. And I have put these things through the test and through the gutter, and they have never, ever even had a hiccup handling video, 8K video, 4K video, photos, rapid fire, everything. So I put this Lexar memory card on my R5, and I'm happy to, and I'm ready to go without having to worry about that. So this example here, another example, okay? This is a commercial shoot for a celebrity hairstylist. This is Kim Kardashian's best friend. This is Christina Aguilera's daughter's godmother. So this is like a little bit of a high profile shoot. And she's going to be giving these photos to all these celebrities. So Kim Kardashian, Christina Aguilera, Jen, whatever, Kim Kardashian's Jenner, whatever, Caitlyn Jenner, all these people are going to be receiving these photographs. And I tell you, as the photographer that took them, don't freak out. Like, look at the situation carefully, okay? This example here was lit very carefully to make sure that the background was very evenly lit and not distracting you from whatever else I'm trying to show. I'm trying to show these boxes, which is her product, okay? Then the lighting on her boxes has to be separate because you don't want the same light hitting the background to lit the main subject, which is the actual boxes. So a small light source was used to illuminate those boxes. A big light source was used to illuminate her. And I put her close enough to the background so that the background light would be pretty steady all the way around. And that's how we manage this. Also look at the elbows and look at the leg movement. Everything feels like she's in movement. That's me basically telling her to take a step backwards and then forward. Well, why would I do that? Because nobody wants boring, steady photos that just look like static. So add movement, but add it carefully. If you notice her back is actually arched very nicely, that was what I said. Take a step with your right hand and arch your back. Bring your chin up so that the chin hits the boxes, and then look at the camera. It took 3 or 4 times to get her to get the pose right, but it's finally there. Now, any little mistake that you see, like with the fingers being like crumbled or whatever, you're not going to be able to fix everything, okay? Let it go, forget it, move on. As long as the major parts are dead on, you should move on. Okay, look at this one. Look at how clean the lighting is on the boxes, but also how clean the lighting is on her face. And her face is also sculptured. There is like shadows on her cheeks and shadows under her neck. And the hair is lit by a separate light source. Why? Because that is a hair extension product. So don't let the light just shoot everything. As a professional photographer, ask yourself, can I direct the light to what matters? Okay. So I want to direct it to the boxes, and I want to direct it to her hair. I don't care as much about the face, and I definitely don't care about the jacket, but I do care about the boxes and the hair. Start there. I also had to make sure that the background was perfectly even, so no variations in the background light, okay? And if you bring in small modifiers, medium modifiers, and big modifiers, and you can work with strobes and with speed lights, you should be able to grab a speed light and put it right over the hair and actually let the strobes fire the speed light by optical transmission, optical line of sight, and then illuminate that hair like that. So just breathe, think about it, and then start doing the shot. You're gonna be a lot happier with your photography. This one is a kind of like a technique that I use often, and I'll show you another example. This is a lot more subdued, but this is actually a technique where the camera and where the flash is actually pointed towards my lens. Okay, so let me repeat. My flash, off-camera flash, is actually pointed towards my lens. So when the flash fires, it hits the lens and it hits the sensor, and it creates this kind of like dreamy, moody look to it. Okay, that was step number 1. Step number 2 is to have her walking forward, holding the dress. That attention to detail in the pose makes her look more realistic. Instead of having her just statically standing there, it makes it look like she was actually walking somewhere. And then the light just makes the dress look really cool. So let me move forward to this. Actually, this one here started out in a very boring way. And I didn't really think the light in the flowers in the background, in the cherry blossoms or whatever those things are, looked inspiring at all. So the couple spent all this money putting all these flowers up and down the aisle, and then they were just dead. It was like a cloudy day. So this was done with speed lights, okay? Speed lights going up and illuminating the flowers from the ground. So just put the speed lights on the floor, put them on manual, let them fire. If they're too strong, lower the power, fire again. If they're too strong, lower the power again, until they feel like they are naturally lighting the flowers here. This was done with an LED light, a bunch of LED lights actually. Was kind of cool. This is a much more complicated pose, but it's kind of cool that if you look in the mirror, you can actually see his expression on his face, but you don't see her eyes. So kind of fun just to try to change things up a little bit. This is a really fun one for me because this really talks about the power of simplicity. Okay, this was a little tiny staircase in a place in LA, and it didn't look like much when you were walking by. But I noticed there was a window to the right, and the sun was actually starting to come down, and it was going to hit the window. Before the sun hit the window directly, right before, I asked her to go up the stairs and stand in the path of the light coming through the window, and you can see how the light just showers her with the most flattering, most elegant, most gorgeous light. and it creates this very three-dimensional feel. So even though when I first saw this location, it wasn't the exact moment that I took the picture, keep a mental note in your head, like where is the sun in the window, like in relation to the window, and how much time do you need before you come back? So right now for this photo, we only had to wait about 30 minutes before the light was like this. Okay. Now I want to show you guys some of the things I think about when it comes to posing, some really cool posing techniques that will hopefully help you guys a lot in the future. The spine is the key. If you mess up the spine, you have a slouchy photo. Nobody wants to look like they're slouching. So no matter if people are sitting, laying down, or standing, keep yourself thinking, does the spine look like it is straight and it has good posture? Also, look at the top bone right before the neck begins in the back of her neck. This bone right here is called the cervical bone. You want that bone to be in charge of moving the head of your subjects. Don't have people move their head by actually incorporating their back, because then they're going to slouch. So you'll see this, if you can see my image of myself right now, just pay attention to me instead of the picture, but there's a bone right there. And whenever I tell my subjects, look down, look up, look to the left, look to the right, I tell them do it purely by pivoting your head around that bone. If you can remember that, you're never going to get a slouch. Okay. That's the cervical spine right there at the top. So you want to make sure that that cervical curve is responsible for moving the head. A lot of photographers, unfortunately, say to people, to their subjects, like, go ahead and look left, look right, look down, look up. And they never tell them how to do it from a proper photography perspective. And so when they do is when they look down, they do something like this. They actually hunch over their back, and then it's game over. Okay. So by having a little bit of skill set in posing, you are able to say, hey, can you look down by pivoting your neck through that bone? And then they can just pivot down, pivot up. And if you show them, then there will be little space for confusion. Okay. Check this out. This is a slouch of the back because she was actually dropping her head. Okay. This is terrible. Like having this girl sit there, she doesn't have any curvature in her back whatsoever. And her movement of her head is actually incorporated by the back instead of by the cervical bone. That's why she looks so terrible in this picture. And that's what I'm trying to help you avoid. Okay. Whenever I'm doing headshots or I'm basically focusing on the portrait or the face of the person, I think about these 3-point check combinations. 3-point check combinations means where is the body, where is that's the first check. There's the first point check, okay? Where is the body pointing to? Where is the chin pointing to? And where are the eyes pointing to? Those 3 things make a tremendous difference on the energy of what the photo will look like. If you want the photo to look fierce, you got to use the right combination of that. If you want the photo to look romantic, like the person to look soft and romantic and pleasant, that's a different combination of body, chin, and eyes. You don't have to memorize all the combinations, but I would definitely memorize 3 to 5 because then you can incorporate them in your portraits. Okay, for example, look, in this example, this is a dynamic 3-point check combination. Her body is pointed one way, okay, camera left. Her chin is pointed to the right, camera right, and her eyes are the only thing pointed at the camera. So out of the 3-point checks, which point is the only point pointing at the camera? Her eyes. What does that mean for you? It means that you have a very dynamic, strong relationship with this photo. You almost can't stop staring at it because it's so powerful. Now, if I had her eyes looking away from the camera, then you would spend more time looking at her dress because she's not looking directly at you. So as soon as the eyes are the only thing pointed at the camera, it's like a power portrait. It's like, boom, like you're right there. Like if you guys are looking at this picture, it's hard to look away. Okay. And that's the power of 3-point check combinations. Let me show you another one. This is where the body, the chin, and the eyes are all looking at the camera. Okay. This is the strongest combination you can use. So if you want a really high impact headshot, you point the body, the chin, and the eyes. But if you want a portrait where you are engaged with her eyes and personality, you do it this way. This is more like seductive, and this is more like in your face, direct, strong, confident, powerful look to it. Okay. Now this is a photo of my wife. This 3-point check combination is one of my favorites for photographing women because it creates this statue-like portrait. And the way you do it is body goes one way, chin goes the other way, and the eyes go to the same direction as the chin. Okay, so the eyes are not looking at the camera. The chin and the eyes are aligned, but the body is in the opposite direction. So that's the combination. If you do that with somebody, they're going to look very statue-like. It's a cool thing to try. Okay. Here's an example of a similar, this is me trying the same thing as this, statuesque, almost like an elegant statue kind of photo. That's the same exact thing, this one. So you can see that I use these combinations over and over. But look here in this one, the body, the chin, and the eyes are all facing away from the camera, but they're not looking at the camera. So this is a variation of this picture right there. This is the same thing. This is body, chin, and eyes staring in the same direction. But this one, she's looking at the camera, direct relationship. This one, body, chin, and eyes are all in the same direction, but not looking at the camera, indirect relationship. This is the best type of photo you can take when you're trying to shoot fashion, because fashion designers love when the viewer of the photograph is not distracted by the eyes of the model. They want you to see the clothing. So the way you do it is two ways. Have the body, chin, and eyes look in the same direction somewhere else. That's going to give you a powerful look. Or have something like this, where it's more dynamic. This is more dynamic, not looking at the camera. This is more straightforward, powerful, not looking at the camera. Okay. This photo forces you to look at the dress and the flowers and the headpiece because she's not looking at you. Whereas this photo, all you can do is look at her eyes because it's so powerful in the eyes. Same thing with this. So if you were shooting a fashion shoot and you give the designer a photo like this, she or he is not going to be very happy with you because this is such a strong connection with the person's eyes that you don't even pay attention to the dress. Okay, like look at this picture. Do you even notice the dress? The answer is probably not really. It's kind of secondary. But now look at this. Do you notice the dress now? Absolutely. You're probably staring at the photo left and right, up and down, looking at everything because she's not looking at you.
Hey, Roberto, we had a great question come in from Steve. He asked, sharing posing tips for men and couples. Would this 3-point check also apply when doing and posing couples?
Imagine this. Imagine you want to create a beautiful statuesque photo of the bride, but with the groom involved. So what you would do this. You would put the bride with the collarbones in one direction, the chin and the eyes in the same direction, okay, but opposite of the collarbones. And then you would have the groom come around and maybe give her a nice, gentle, soft kiss on her upper cheekbone. Now you're really getting somewhere here. Now you're getting to the point where you are using posing skill to create a beautiful, tender image without waiting for the client to do it on their own by shooting them for half an hour and shooting 6,000 frames per second, hoping that something comes out. I'm teaching you guys something that you can do in 5 seconds. Do you want it to look like this? Do you want the bride to look powerful and strong and then have the groom come and give her a kiss on the forehead? If you do that, then the bride will look like a powerful person and the groom will look like he really loves her because he's kissing her on the top of the forehead or something.
Or the cheek,
on the cheek. But you're never going to change the power of the 3-point check combinations. You're just choosing which combination you want to add. And I tell you, you don't have to memorize all of them.
Sure.
I encourage you to try memorizing 5 combinations and then try to cycle them through.
That's so important, because especially for, in this case, a wedding, you only have, 45 minutes to an hour in between the ceremony and the reception, right? To get all of your bride and groom shots, the bridesmaids, the groomsmen, the whole wedding party.
Stressful. It's so stressful when everybody's yelling at you to try. This is why I tell photographers, from fashion to weddings to portraits, like, learn posing. It's not something you can just like learn posing. Okay. It will get you there faster. And posing doesn't mean people look like dorky figures, like with their hands like this over their under their chin.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that. It means you're understanding what the body's doing when you're taking pictures. And as a professional portrait photographer, you should have some knowledge and some good handling of what the body's doing when you're taking photographs.
Yeah, and it will make that process a lot easier, instructing them through those 5-6 poses. That way you can get your shots and move on to the next set.
Exactly. It makes the process a lot easier. When I'm doing shoots, I don't even worry about it. Like, I know my stuff, I shoot it. And another one is mirroring. Okay, when you mirror hands, if somebody is holding if let's say it's a wedding and the bride and the groom are holding each other's waists the same exact way, that creates like a mirror image of each other. Mirroring doesn't look very realistic. It looks like maybe a little bit contrived, like the photographer told them to put their hands there. So when you see a person mirroring, maybe change one angle of one side of their arm. Maybe change, like if it's a single person, like a fashion shoot or a high school senior or something, and the girl is putting both of her hands on her waist, maybe that will be mirroring. Maybe drop one hand a little bit. So you can still keep the mirror, but you're not mirroring 100% of the left side to the right side. I encourage photographers to it's okay if you like the way that looks with the 2 hands doing the exact same thing, the 2 arms, but break the mirroring just a little bit. It will make the photo more interesting to see. Okay, here's some examples. Look, this is a photo of my wife again. I put her in a bad pose on purpose, that she wasn't very happy about it, but there she is. So I put both of her arms mirroring each other. You can tell right off the bat that doesn't look very flattering. Okay. Look at this picture. This is terrible. This is all the bridesmaids and the bride holding the flowers the exact same way. It looks like you grabbed a mirror and you put it in between the bride and the first bridesmaid, and everybody's repeating each other. It just doesn't look realistic. Look at the picture. You can not tell me that this doesn't look contrived, right? Now look at the photo on the right. That's breaking the mirror. See, you have the girl look at the photo on the right, okay, with the green background. The girl on the left has her arm all the way down. The bride has her arm slightly bent, and the other bride has her flowers a little bit lower than the bride's flowers. That's breaking the mirror. Look how much more normal, natural, realistic that looks compared to the photo on the left. That's posing for you. That's posing for you, okay?
So real quick, Roberto, before we jump too far ahead, just going back to, talking about some of the different posing that you were talking about before, Francis wanted to know, does the 3-point system work for men as well?
100%. As long as you're working with a human being, it works. Okay. If you stand, what's the guy's name that asked the question?
Francis asked that question.
Hey, Francis, thank you for the question. Listen, man, if you stand in front of the mirror, okay, not right now because I'm presenting, but if you stand in front of the mirror after my presentation with your collarbones to the mirror, your chin to the mirror, and your eyes to the mirror, and then you bring your shoulders back a little bit so the face comes forward a little bit, you're going to look very strong. Okay. If you bring your chin down and you lock your eyes in a specific space, in a specific location in the mirror, you keep looking at that spot, and then you bring your chin down, you're going to turn from strong to a little bit vicious. Okay. And if you bring your chin up and you keep your eyes locked in the same place in the mirror, you're going to start looking defiant. Okay. You're going to start looking defiant. When somebody's defiant, they bring their chin up, their eyelids start to close, and they go like, what's up, right? That is not a joke. That is the 3-point check combinations in action. And you can practice that in the mirror yourself. just to give it a go, okay?
Excellent. Thank you, Roberto.
You're welcome. Here's an example of what I just said. This has the two arms around the waist, but I decided to break the mirror on the right side. So the right arm went down a little further. The left arm is in the original position. Now, when you look at this photograph, it has a more interesting feel. If her right elbow and left elbow were exactly mirroring each other, it wouldn't have the same elegant feel. And that's the power of posing, okay? This is actually something that I'm really passionate about because it's of huge importance. I call this the first point of contact. And this is another reason why I encourage people to study posing more carefully. You can pick up my posing book if you want, Picture Perfect Posing, and I have all of this stuff in that book. But in the meantime, the first point of contact talks about when you fire the camera, what is the first thing? Imagine a piece of paper coming out of the lens. And what is the first thing that piece of paper would hit on your subject? And in this case, is the knee and the hand. And as you can see, this is a portrait of the knee and the hand. Her face is almost secondary. That's really bad. That's a really bad choice, okay? So you really want to change it so that the face, if you're doing a portrait, becomes the first point of contact or is close to the first point of contact. But look at this picture right now in your screen. That does not look like a portrait of her face. It looks like a portrait of her knee and her left hand. Okay, look at the slouch. Now the one on the right is corrected. Same exact pose, but corrected. How did I correct it? I brought the upper body towards the camera because now the knee and her face are in close proximity of each other. And that makes her look like she's on the same plane. So now your attention goes more to her face. Whereas on the photo on the left, she looks uninterested because her head is way farther back than her knee. Okay. Another major problem. What's the problem with this picture, guys? Take a look at it. Her shoulder is the first point of contact by far. Her head is almost like 8 inches back from her shoulder. So even though you normally look at a picture like this and you say, it's fine, I got the head. No, you didn't. That's not fine. That's crap. That's not the way a portrait is supposed to look. Like the shoulder, this is a shoulder shot and not a head shot. Okay? It's supposed to look like this. You want it to look like that. That is a headshot. The body goes away from the camera. The head comes forward. She's tilting her head forward towards me. And the shoulder that was in the way is now out of the way. And you can see how it goes right in the middle there. It goes right through. Look at this difference. Look at that compared to that. That's posing for you. Okay. So let me just skip this. This is the photo of my wife with her hands not mirroring each other. Let me just get out of this one. Okay, here's another crazy one. What's wrong with this picture? If you look at this photograph, what stands out based on what I just talked to you about? The point of contact is her elbow. So we have this amazing potential of this photograph with really cool, sharp, small light source, very direct. And then you have this elbow that's just like screaming, like, look at me, look at me. Okay, that's because that elbow on her left arm is the first point of contact. And look how far that elbow is from her head. That distance is unacceptable. Okay, so you have to bring the shoulder back down, the elbow back down, and make sure that the head is the closest thing to the camera, or at least very close to being the closest thing to the camera. So this is how you correct it. Look at that. Okay, that's the way you're supposed to do it. Point of contact, her arm, but her face is only an inch away from her arm. Whereas in this picture, her elbow is like literally 12 inches away from her face. So this is not going to work. And this definitely works. Okay. Point of contact, very important. Look at this. Look at this difference. One looks terrible. One looks like a piece of artwork, all from the same location by making some minute posing changes. Okay. Now, if you're wondering, what about the position of her chin? That chin is up to receive the light from the light's coming camera right. So I brought her chin up, up, up more and more until the shadows were perfectly placed in her face. I corrected the arms based on the point of contact knowledge, and I took the picture. Here's an example of me doing this in real life. Here is a groom and here is a bride. I'm in the middle of a wedding, okay? This is not posing. This is them trying to pose themselves. This is why photographers should learn how to pose, okay? This looks terrible. So I started correcting things. Look at the bride. What the heck is she doing? Nothing. She's just standing there looking at the window. So I start correcting her pose. That's pretty good, but her arms are not doing anything. So I try to use her earring as an example to maybe do something with her hands and frame her head. Now, obviously there she's looking away from the camera, so that doesn't work. So I have her turn towards the window, towards the window light, and adjust her hands on her earring. And then there's the final portrait of that. Simple picture, but a lot more effective than the first one. Look at the groom. He's trying to pose himself. Don't let people do that. They're terrible at it. You're the photographer. You should know how to do it. Here, what excuse do I have to get his hands engaged so he doesn't look so posed? I have his watch. I have his cufflink. I have his bow tie and his buttons. All of these things can be utilized so that his hands are engaged with these items and gives their hands something to do that's realistic. Okay, so here's him with a suit on. Here's looking away, but his hands are not engaged. Can I do better? Yes, I can. And there is the final picture. I did the cufflink and the watch. He's looking away. This looks a lot better. Here's the starting point. Here's the ending point. Okay, getting from here to here is less than 30 seconds. Okay. What I want to say to you guys is this slide right here. Have a vision and don't be lazy about executing that vision. Like, don't be complacent about it. Like, really think, can I push this a little bit further? Like, I could have stopped with this picture of the groom. I could have said, that's fine. It's a nice picture of him and it's over. But that's what every photographer under the sun would probably do. So, you know, you're trying to separate yourself from the crowd. You want people to see that you are a better photographer. You want to get more bookings. You want to get the higher paid jobs. Well, then you have to produce higher level stuff than the average bulk of photographers. And you do that by not being complacent and asking yourself questions like, can I enhance this image by maybe involving his hands? If you do involve his hands, are they doing something realistic? Or does it look posed? So things like that. Here's an example of that, about not being complacent. This picture took a little bit of time, okay? It took like at least a minute because the girl was walking down, not looking down at the stairs. I wanted her to look down at the stairs and move her veil out of the way. Her veil has to be moved out of the way because it's touching the floor, which means she could possibly trip. So it makes sense that if she's actually realistically coming down the stairs with a long veil like that, that you would take the attention to detail and say, hey, let's utilize your hands. So let's involve your hands by moving the veil out of the way. Make sure that you don't get your shoe caught on the thing. And by her looking down at the stairs, it looks like she's actually paying attention to her step. So this is a beautiful, almost like a photojournalistic looking photograph, but it was actually completely posed. We actually had to do that pose 3 or 4 times, okay, until she actually looked at the stairs properly. Before I switch out of this slide, guys, look carefully at how she's looking down by only pivoting her neck down from that bone that we talked about at the beginning of this presentation. You see how her back is perfectly straight and is not engaged? It is only that bone in the bottom of her neck that's moving her head and pivoting it down. That's why this photo looks so elegant. And that's why her neck looks so long. This is a lighting example of not being complacent. I had a vision. I like this lady here. I thought she looked very elegant, and her hair looks exactly the same hair like the bride. Look at the painting. Look at the hair of the lady on the painting wearing the purple dress. And now look at the hair on the bride. It's almost identical. So I thought it would be a cool play to kind of put the bride in there. Now look at that light. This tungsten light is just awful. But by putting a flash and hitting the flash against the wall behind me at almost full power, I illuminated that back wall, and then that light came forward, getting rid of all of that yellow tungsten, created this image. So that's That's the bad image without the flash. This is the image straight out of camera with the flash pointed behind me, okay? This has not been edited. It has not been retouched. It has not been done anything. You can still see the wallpaper cracking in the bottom of the frame. That's what I'm saying. Try to have a vision and see if you can put it together without being complacent. How do you do this on the job? You practice at home. Don't practice this stuff in front of a client, okay? Practice this stuff at home. Do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So when you have a job on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're doing it out of memory. You're proficient at it.
Hey, Roberto, just to confirm on that last photo, you said the light was facing away. So are you bouncing that light off of a back wall? And it's bouncing off that back
the
wall?
wall's just right behind me, and I just pointed the flash from my camera behind me, and it fired behind me. That wall was about 10 feet from me. So the flash had to be almost at full power to reach that wall and then bounce all the way back.
Okay, and is that an on-camera flash or is that a side strobe that you're pointing backwards?
That was an off-camera flash, but very close to me.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, just to get a rough idea, the lighting is so soft and it's not overly powering the white dress. I know when shooting weddings, in this case specifically, direct flash and white dresses are always hard to balance out. So finding nice available soft light is a good tip.
And also the wall behind me was so big that it creates that soft light, because that becomes the modifier, right?
Awesome. Yeah.
So I think just to piggyback off of Joey's question, we had a question come in from Lamar, who I think you kind of answered this indirectly, wanted to know if you were using any kind of gel on the flash.
That's an awesome question. Honestly, I use gels a lot during my job. So I'm going to say I probably did, but I can't remember if I did in this picture. So I don't want to say yes if I don't remember. What I will say is I do correct the lighting. There's only two types of gels that I use when I'm not trying to be creative, when I'm just trying to correct. And it's a blue gel and an orange gel. The orange gel, I bring two flavors. I bring a half CTO and a full CTO. On the blue side, I only bring like a half blue, like something that's not terribly deep blue. I bring like a simple blue. These things are ready to go on my flashes at all times. Because I have to correct with my speed lights often what the lighting in the environment is doing. Okay, I'm guessing by the look of this photo, I did use the blue gel.
Okay,
because it's a very orange room.
Yeah.
And then the final product is very balanced. So I'm guessing a soft blue gel to help counter that orange light.
Exactly. And this presentation is called like perfecting the portrait with posing and lighting. Well, this is a very big lighting tip, right? The blue gel and two CTOs, that's all you need to correct most situations that you're going to encounter in the environment. Look at this photo, how yellow and terrible it looks compared to how beautiful and elegant this looks. And this is right out of the camera. This is crazy. And I'm just off subject, guys. Like, this is why I'm obsessed with photography. It's kind of magical. And I'm talking out of pure passion and love for the art of photography right now. There's no other art form that I know of that can transform something so drastically, so quickly. And it's just like, what? Like, how do you go from that to that in 10 seconds from pure photography skill? I don't know. I don't know about you guys, but this is the stuff that makes me go crazy for this art form. This is why I never get bored of photography. And this is why I always want to push my skill set, because I love coming up with things like this.
Yeah, it's a great example of problem solving, right? You're in this room, you see this photo, but to the naked eye, it could be a very orange and off-putting room. But you found a way to sort of counter that problem.
Exactly.
And found ways to fix it with prior knowledge and practice.
Yeah,
and practice, right?
And I think just to further your point, Joey, I think one of the things that you've pushed, Roberto, was talking about the fact that this is straight out of the camera. And you think about it in today's world, it's so kind of commonplace that most people will say, you know what, I'll just get the shot and I'll figure it out later and I'll go back in post and then I'll go ahead and retouch it. And, yes, there is always the ideology that you could go into post and you could retouch it and you could do all those things. But I think to your point, getting that and learning that and figuring it out before you get to the actual shoot, it's only going to improve you as a photographer, and it's going to improve future shoots that you do, that you don't have to rely on a tool like Photoshop or Lightroom or any of those, editing softwares, and you actually craft your skill a lot better that way.
Man, aren't we photographers? Isn't that like our primary skill set? Like, are you a photographer or are you a retoucher, right? Like, if you're a retoucher, then you can say, okay, I'm going to shoot this way because I'm going to retouch it. But if you're a photographer, then work really hard to get just almost client ready photos from the camera. And it's not as hard as you think. Like blue gel, 2 orange gels with your flashes. Your flashes can pretty much take care of most situations. You don't even need to buy those crazy big strobes and all this stuff. You need simple tools, and you need to learn how to use them in a very powerful, efficient, fast, speedy way. And if you can manage to do that through your practice sessions, you are going to flourish, because every minute you spend retouching, it's making you gain weight. You're eating potato chips. You're drinking Diet Coke. You're probably drinking wine. It's not good for you, okay? You can retouch very little and send the photos to a client. My goal in retouching, when I'm not doing skin retouching, when I'm just doing regular retouching, is I don't want to spend more than a minute in a photograph, okay? And if I'm doing skin retouching or something more high-end, then I send it out to somebody to do it for me, because I just, that's not what I want to be spending my time, okay? My passion is photography, and there is enough magic in the art of photo taking straight out of camera to keep you satisfied for the rest of your life and then some. So there you go. Here's a photo of me in Germany in a rainy day, and I'm teaching this class, and I'm telling people not to get discouraged because the people look so bad, and because it's so cloudy and there's just no light. But look, again, a simple flash, one speed light, okay? And we went from this awful picture to this amazing picture. This photo has not been retouched, has not seen Photoshop, has not seen Camera Raw, it has not seen Capture One, it hasn't seen anything. This is just straight out of the camera, and it came from that, okay? So this one has no gels on it, just a straight up flash. But look how much of a difference it makes, okay? So how did we do this? A flash from the back and a reflector in the front. When the flash in the back fires, it illuminates the raindrops, it gives the couple the rim light, and then the flash continues to travel towards me. Then my assistant's holding a reflector, the light hits that reflector and it bounces light back into their face, giving you this exact result. Okay. See how fun this is? Like, why would you want to rely on retouching when you can just rely on your in-camera skill set? So here's the cherry blossoms. This is the way the original photo looked. Now, yes, it's dark, but even if I would have changed my exposure to brighter, you can still see the groom's faces in complete shadow and the bride's faces in complete shadow. If that's not even bad enough for you, look at the cherry blossoms, completely dead. It looks like a dead garden. Now we put two flashes. We put 2 flashes on the floor, 1 flash, we put 3 flashes, 1 flash on the left to illuminate the flowers on the left, 1 flash on the right, and 1 flash towards the couple. And this is what we got. Okay, so this is the result. It looks a little bright in this. It actually, the real photo doesn't look that bright, but the client loved it. And most importantly, they bought a big print out of this, okay? And you can see here, this is the raw file. You can read at the top. So how did you transform this and made it into this? We transformed this and made it into this. And we transformed the other lady with a painting and turned that into that beautiful image. Look at this one. Like, this is kind of weird, dead. The flash is not working. We tried to do the flash did not work. So we tried to do an LED light instead. And look how beautiful and elegant that looks. So, you know, as much as I want to say the flash is the answer for everything, sometimes it's not. And sometimes you have to practice, like, when is like a video light or an LED light a better choice? So this was shot with a Stella light with an orange gel on it. and it created that image. Sorry, this one right here. Look how beautiful that looks compared to the other one. So this is just problem solving, and I think it's a lot of fun to be able to problem solve this way. I'm gonna finish off here by showing you some cool images I just shot for the Canon campaign. This is for the Canon R5 campaign, but I wanted to finish off strong by showing you attention to detail in posing and in lighting. So this is supposed to be a lifestyle picture, okay? So you can see her legs are not mirroring. One leg is up, one leg is down, okay? One hand is on the rock, the other hand is on her leg. The way he's holding the guitar, the hands are not mirroring, his legs are not mirroring, okay? And the lighting looks quite realistic, but this is how that was done. Let me show you. Look at the lighting, how hard, look how flat that was. It's terrible. There's the strobe, and then there's the diffuser above them, and then that's the final picture. So I diffused the light that was there first, and I cleaned it all up so it was all even, and then I used a strobe to put the light back on them. I'll show you that again so you can see it. Take a look. There's a diffuser and the lights, and there's the final result right there. So right there, look how beautiful that looks. So cool. And why did I use that modifier? Because it was a 4x1 strip box, which allows light to hit both of their faces, not just one of their faces. So there it is. I think that looks pretty awesome for like a very clean lifestyle type of picture. Here's another one. It's kind of fun. This is using a reflector to bring back the light. No, a strobe was not used on this, but you can kind of see this is me posing them, telling them how to walk, how to hold their hand. The guy's in the front, she's with her hand in the pocket, and this is the final result out of that. Look how cool that looks. It looks like a Guess ad or something. So this is done with a simple reflector in front of them. No need for all the crazy lights and flashes. This one, the reflector was enough. The important part is paying attention to the posing here. Look at the way he's holding the guitar. Look at the way he's walking. Look at the way she's looking at the camera and her legs are crossed. That does not happen by accident. That whole feel happens from imagining what this will look like and trying to execute that. Now, did I get this on the first try? Of course not. This took like a whole minute to do. We had to walk and continue redoing it like 5 or 6 times until she crossed her legs just right. He was holding the guitar just right, and it looked realistic. That's how you do it. So don't think I'm some sort of like I get it on the first try. I don't. This was done, this lighting on her face, yeah, this was done by shooting a flash through a diffuser, like a collapsible diffuser, and it gave you a very soft, flattering light on her face. So if you go to B&H and you look for those Pro Photo large collapsible diffusers and you buy one, they have handles. Those handles can help one assistant hold the diffuser with one hand and hold the flash with the right hand and fire the flash into the diffuser. But you have to use those Pro Photo ones because of the handles. That's what makes it work. This was shot with a bunch of tungsten CTO gels on flashes. The whole thing was like supposed to be a bunch of friends camping and playing the guitar and enjoying each other. And I really love how the strobe and the orange CTOs and all of that basically illuminated the couple, the friends, without making it look like you used a strobe. Like if you look at this photo, you don't think, oh, a strobe was used. You don't think that at all. You think that's a beautiful scene, or it looks like a cool, realistic scene. And I want to encourage you guys, if you're listening, not because you have a strobe means you fire the strobe and you shock people with the strobe light. Try to balance the strobe use, the color of it, the output of it, the angle of it, and the feathering of it with the environmental light. And then you will have a complete scene that looks realistic. Okay.
Hey, Roberto,
yeah.
For this one, you said that you're bringing in a strobe. You know, some of the strobes like the B1 or B12 from Pro Photo could be very strong and powerful. Are you using any sort of modifiers on strobes, or is this straight out of the strobe itself?
No, that's a good question. And this was done with some pretty big modifiers. This was done with my 6-foot Octa, and then we had another modifier on the left to illuminate the girl. See, the girl on the left is too far away from the two people on the right, on the center of the frame. So you have to use 2 lights. one light hits the guy in the guitar and the girl next to him.
Mhm.
And by the time that light hits the other person, it's too dark.
Yeah.
So another light was used on the left to just give the girl on the left a little kiss of light. And that's it.
And the one on the left, is that with a strip light, or more of like a spotlight off camera?
That wasn't a strip light. That was, what was that? Oh my, I don't want to get the, oh yeah, that's right. That was actually, that was actually a beauty dish on that one.
Oh, cool. Okay, something more constant.
Yeah.
Roberto, I don't know if you want to throw it up there again and just let people know how to follow you on Instagram. I know you were concerned about your Instagram following and making sure that grows. So if you want to throw that back out there, let people know maybe your website, any way they can get in touch with you.
I would love to get some Instagram love, because I'm poor. I'm poor in the Instagram following department. Okay, we need help. If you guys want to contribute and volunteer your vote to follow my Instagram account, I will provide entertainment for you on behind the scenes photo shoots and all the other craziness I do. You can also go to my website, robertovalenzuela.com, and check out my workshops. I teach workshops in posing and lighting. And I do this all over the country, except maybe not so much this year because it's like beginning of COVID ending. But I do want to invite you guys to go to Amazon and buy, or maybe B&H has actually B&H has the books too. Buy the books that I have. I have 6 books out. Picture Perfect Practice, Picture Perfect Posing, which is the book on posing that I told you guys about. Picture Perfect Lighting, which talks about that benchmark I just talked about. If you're a wedding photographer, I wrote Wedding Storyteller Volume 1, Wedding Storyteller Volume 2, and I just released my last title called The Successful Professional Photographer. I think every photographer should read that last book because it talks about the business side of things, which we all need right now.
Awesome. I want to give a very special thanks to Joey and Lexar, our sponsors for this event. Absolutely amazing. I really enjoyed everything that I learned here today, Roberto, and definitely gave me a great perspective on ways to think about my future upcoming shoots that I might do. So thank you very much. For everybody else tuning in, thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you back here again next week, as my friend Derek says, for another rendition of the B&H Virtual Event Space.